Creation's Journey to Life. Day 60, The Philosopher's Stone. Watch the documentaries The Trap, The Century of the Self, and Psy-War for context. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that the one that finds the treasure, being it exclusive genetic control, or exclusive religious salvation, or exclusive products in general that can be sold in perpetuity to ensure endless profit, is the philosopher's stone of consumerism and the foundation of the alchemy of greed, with the certain outcome of no change on earth and constant desire and drive to be part of the exclusive brand. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that the philosopher will clutch the stone in the picket as self-definition that gives exclusive intellectual rights, so that the name of the philosopher will be branded in the flesh of the followers for eternity, although the philosophy itself will not lead to a world that is best for all, where all equally can be the stone as one as equal. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that philosophy was one of the pillars from which consumerism exclusivity evolved and was the early form of greed before money, because the tool of measurement that divided the class of people into hierarchies of exclusivity to allow the competition of control to feed the desire for the highest self-interest, to bring the iconic value to the exclusive value that would put the philosopher and corporation and product on an eternal pedestal of desire. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that any system that would challenge the philosopher's stone supremacy as the ultimate achievable greed, like equality as what is best for all life, would be scoffed and downright demonized, as that would end the game of supremacy, and in the eyes of the philosopher diminish the philosopher to the equality as a mere mortal in the flesh as equal, which seems to be so limited and without excitement, leaving the philosopher out in the cold. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that the result of consumerism is the spawning of all customers as philosophers with their own exclusive, untouchable opinions that compete for superiority on just one point of exclusivity as self-value in the creation of self-interest, dividing life into separate entities that, like the system of consumerism intended, compete and allow each other one stone as opinion on each one point as the definition of individuality, where the consequence of extreme harm to the ones not winning the philosopher's game is seen as the natural outcome of the design of life on earth, leaving a world in trouble as proof that the philosopher's game is valid, as the spoils of the winner of wealth proves the winner's value, which is life, ends up on the rubbish heap, scratching for scraps to survive. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that with the philosopher's stone game, not all can win, as the resources and control of the philosopher that wins must remain exclusive, or the philosopher will no longer be exclusive. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to not realize that all spirituality in design is the game of the philosopher's stone, where unique forms of philosophies are peddled, none of which will produce a world that is best for all life, as that is against the rules of the philosopher's stone game. I forgive myself that I've accepted and allowed myself to not realize that history clearly shows that philosophy is but the greed of individual exclusivity that does not produce a world that is best for all life. Yet, this evil greed is deified to be the ultimate way of individualism, with the outcome of obsessed self-interest regardless of consequence. I commit myself to show that all philosophies that do not result in what is best for all life are in fact just individual greed and self-interest in attempts to make the illusion of self seem real. I commit myself to show that the philosopher's stone of life is the living flesh that functions as one as equal as what is best for all life. I commit myself to show that consumerism is just the philosopher's stone game, made flesh with devastating consequences for most life forms on earth. I commit myself to show that opinion is the way of the philosopher that bedevil the right to life and reduce it to the illusionary energies of the self-interested energy ego. I commit myself to show that intellect in design is the progenitor of greed as the accumulation of accomplishments to create value in the illusion, while the real value as life, here, equal, born as a child, is disregarded as the luck of the draw, as the lot is casted to find the greatest philosophy while life suffers in unspeakable ways. I commit myself to show, as it has already been shown, that every attempt will be made by the philosophers in this world to demonize the answer that is best for all life, which is equality and oneness in application, to produce a world that protects and serves and supports life in ways that are best for all life. Anyone that attacks the obvious only answer that can produce a world worthy of life is but a philosopher trapped in the game of self-interest, attempting to be more than life. And such fools will lose their right to life, as they did not give what they received as life, equal to all, always.